We're on a road to nowhere. Come on inside. Taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning. And you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind. Come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind. Come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day. It's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Hey guys, Savage Joy with the Unruly Hour. Today I am joined by two Starbucks employees from Colorado who just unionized, Len Harris and Maria Blair. I reached out because I saw Len's post, which essentially said we are the first Starbucks in Colorado to unionize, and I was like, yes, okay, I'm reaching out. So how exciting is that? That's freaking amazing. And we're seeing more and more posts nonstop. We're the first in, other states, and they're just popping up. It's freaking amazing. So I guess,
it is.
Basically, we could start it if you guys want to just introduce yourselves. If you want to say how long you've worked for Starbucks, what your jobs are, things like that.
Sure. I'll go first. My name's Len Harris. I'm kind of the recognizable figure with Colorado's unionizing efforts, but I'm certainly not the only one. I'm just the only one who isn't as nervous to come in front of a camera. So I'm a shift supervisor at our store, and I'll let Maria introduce herself now.
Hello, I'm Maria Blair. I've been working at Starbucks since July of 2021. I am also a shift supervisor.
I forgot to say how long I worked at Starbucks for. I always forget some question in the introduction. I've been with the company since 2016 with 1 year gap in between during 2020. So about 5 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay. And, Len, I'll just get right into it. Well, this question is both of you. Len, if you want to take it first. Sure. Why did your store decide to unionize? Was it inspiration of other stores? Was it because you see something particularly concerning? What was the actual thing that convinced you guys that you needed to do this?
So it was kind of a mixture of things for me. I knew that the conditions at our store weren't optimal, to say the least. We were having pretty significant staffing issues for all through the summer of 2021. And I knew, with rising prices and everything around, price of the cost of living going up and wages being pretty stagnant, I was like, this can't continue. And it was a matter of, I could just go find another job, or, I could do something else. Let's figure it out. And then subsequently, Buffalo passed their union vote on December 9th, which was the biggest kind of like, okay, I'm going to try doing this. Like, I'm going to stop doing this whole, online social justice warrior. I send a tweet and then I'm done my duty for the day. I'm like, no, I'm actually going to do activism. Like, if I'm going to want things to change, I'm going to do it. So that was like the biggest motivator for me, were conditions at the store, my own personal, like, I want to live my own values and put, actual effort behind my own values. And seeing that another store did it. So actually, Maria, I think, was my first ever really big supporter. Everybody else was a little trepidatious, like excited, like, oh, whoa, are you sure? And some of them were even like, no. But Maria was the first one who like scooped me up in a big hug and was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So.
Because it's fucking scary. Let's be honest. Is there going to be, am I going to be penalized for wanting to better this? We've seen some shit go down at Amazon. So that trepidation is totally understandable. Maria, what was it, like for you to say, nope, on board, done, count me in?
I think the biggest thing was we were having such staffing issues, and I was asking what the policy was. And they had this black and white policy. This is how many partners you'd have versus, or depending on, this is our average number of customers we have per the half hour. And I was discussing how long had it been since that had been updated. Demand has only gone up, and it's ridiculous that we're now keeping to the old way of setting up our day with baristas, and we don't have enough people to do it. That seems ridiculous.
Just today.
So I think that alone was enough for me, but there's something about also having someone who will get your back for like a part-time job, and I don't know, the audacity of people wanting something better for themselves. So be absolutely ashamed.
How dare you guys? Like, you want to be treated like humans? Are you kidding me? That doesn't come with a paycheck.
Yeah.
So as far as, do you think, your customers have been receptive? Do you think they've been supportive?
So I only laugh because the first day we announced we were going to be unionizing, someone ordered us a bouquet of flowers, and it was actually, I forget what was happening. I think there was a holiday. I think it was a holiday that someone sent us the flowers. Our store manager got this bouquet of flowers, like, oh my God, a customer is so nice for this holiday. And there was a note on it like,
Union strong.
So we just put it out in the front.
Yeah. We've had some pretty vocal and very kind support from local customers as well as local unions. And just it's not just like unions that are helping us establish these, this environment of positivity around this. Like, most of the customers are like, oh, we want this too. Like, I've had so many people, even in the time that I've been there, I've been out since April 8th because I had a pretty severe shoulder injury and it's just beginning to heal up. And even in the short time that I was there, people were like, how can I help? What can I do to support? They've been getting flowers. They've been getting people asking, how to help. We got a plaque from Denver DSA, so like congratulating us. So we've had, pretty outpouring of support with it.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. And I know, Len, with saying you've been out, I saw one of your posts that's talked about insurance, how you still have to pay the premium. I'm a national activist for Medicare for All. I have been for years. And that is one of the problems, because if you left your job today, you'd have no insurance and you'd be facing that nonstop. And then you find yourself, okay, now I have no income. I'm out of work, but I still have the premium. Yeah. So first, before I forget, do you need help? Do you have a GoFundMe? Are you able to pay that?
That's very sweet of you to bring that up. Thank you so much. I'm actually okay. Like, listen, if anybody wants to help donate to the cause of a person who's living paycheck to paycheck, I won't say no. But I don't have a GoFundMe up right currently. I met my goal, and it was just the immense generosity of my friends and people who helped me meet that goal. So I'm good. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, don't hesitate to, if that happens again or any of your people, just DM me and I'll put it out.
That's very sweet of you. Yeah, we have, it's just been tough because our hours have been cut and I've been oscillating on whether or not to start a fund for that. My shoulder separated, like I mentioned, so I had to make a fund for that first to make sure I was covered. But I mean, people are finally beginning to say enough is enough and they're leaving now. So it's kind of hard to say who we should allocate any extra funds to because a lot of people are hurting.
Yeah. I don't know.
So Maria, you guys were just saying you're short staffed and now you're saying that your hours were cut?
So for a brief period of time, we actually had plenty of staffing, but
overstaffing.
I remember one day our store manager was saying that from corporate down, they're trying to reduce the extra hours we were building on top of each other. And our shop was over by like 27% of man hours when we weren't supposed to be allocated for that many people at that time. And our store manager one day said, I'm not going to cuff hours. I'll take the rap.
Yep.
And then 2 days later,
hours were
people
getting
were
cut.
struggling to keep 20 hours just so they could keep their benefits. And some of them have actually lost some of their benefits. But now, because people are saying enough is enough, and they're transferring out or finding other part-time jobs or just other work in general, now we have fewer people to fill those gaps. And now we're just at this state of limbo.
Yeah, we're limping along, kind of.
Wow. What was the vote when it came to unionizing your store?
So we had 15 cast votes. One of them was invalid because they forgot to sign the front of it, which happens. So there were 14 valid votes, and 12 of them were yes.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Did you get any, feedback as to why, the other two people voted no?
It's an anonymous vote, so we actually don't know who did it. We can guess, like there's somebody that we know probably for certain who it is. The other, but it's ultimately, it's up to them. I'm not going to pester them about why. I want them to understand their rights. I want them to understand what's available to them, but ultimately be antithetical for us to try to badger them into our side.
Sure.
So I do have ideas, and I think a lot of it, and you can tell me if you think otherwise too. A lot of it is just not truly understanding the benefits of having a union, and being probably too focused on maybe the cons of having a union, like the dues, although dues are like 2% of our paycheck. It's virtually nothing. A lot of people are scared of that. And there are some unions that aren't, I don't think, established by the workers, and those may not have a good reputation either.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately in the beginning, we were very adamant about everyone who has their opinion deserves their opinion. We're not going to harass anyone. Correct. What you feel is what you feel. Mm-hmm. And if you want to know more, we're more than willing to educate you. But also in the end, we couldn't educate everyone.
Yeah.
And let them know all the parameters of this is what they can or cannot promise. This is what they should not be doing. This is okay to do. And in the end, it still had to be someone's personal decision to do the research themselves. And unfortunately, I get it. Some people just didn't, and that's totally fine. Some people didn't realize that, unfortunately, some of the anti-union busting tactics that were implemented at our store scared some people. And there's only so much we could do if they didn't come to us and let us know, hey, I'm actually not so sure about this. This is what I'm hearing. I'm feeling uneasy about this. So unless someone approached us and said, hey, these are things I'm worried about. Is this something that could actually happen? We couldn't help them feel better. We couldn't educate them anymore. It was more or less if you don't feel comfortable, walk away. That is totally fine. You won't hear us harassing you about it at all. This is totally your decision. So in the end,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say in the end, the vote was a vote and people went with their gut feeling. So
what kind of union busting tactics are you referring to? What things did you guys notice? It's
funny. It didn't hurt that bad. Do you want to go first, since you've been at work more than I have recently?
Sure, I'll go first. So from the get-go, once we started talking about, hey, should we unionize, there was someone, I'm not going to start dropping names. I don't think that's very professional. Someone who didn't exactly know what they were talking about, going around saying, you may not be able to transfer, or I won't be able to be on the floor to assist you, or you may not be able to keep going with your ASU credits. We don't know these things. They didn't say, hey, by the way, if you're talking about people not being able to transfer, if you're unionized, you're talking about one store who's going to have a separate set of rules, because that's what they brought to the bargaining table, and it happened in Canada. It was also more emotional manipulation too. Hey, if you vote for this, that's fine, but just know I may transfer because I did not sign up to be a part of a unionized Starbucks. So those were probably the biggest ones I saw.
Yeah, it was a lot of so
Well,
because
and cut hours. I guess we already talked about this.
yeah,
so,
pretty severe cut hours. And well, there were a bunch of upper management from Seattle, like corporate Seattle upper management staff came in for like 2 weeks and were at our store for like 2 weeks, just there, asking us questions, bringing people into 2-on-1. So we had like minors, like a 16, 17-year-old who's in high school working part-time, going and being brought off to a corner to speak with the district manager and a corporate upper level management staff member about the union. And the same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to Maria. We had these 2-on-1s. They lasted several weeks, and they were with usually at least one recurring member, that being the district manager. And the second person was either like a corporate level staff member, management member, or the SM, the store manager. And my conversation with them was so casual, so buddy, like, oh, haha, like just want to make sure that, you understand all the benefits that Starbucks has. We want to make sure that you understand all the things that we offer you.
Realize benefits don't cover bills.
Yeah. And like, you might not be able to like transfer if there was a union, but like, that's like it, that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I had other baristas coming out of them. Like I had one in particular that was in tears because of how scared they were. I had other baristas coming out frustrated or upset or scared because they were like, my ASU benefits are apparently at risk. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't want to cause these problems for people. Like, just, and then like Maria said, the kind of emotional manipulation of being like, I'm probably not going to stay. This person, I'm not going to stay if the union comes through. And it's like, you're in a position of management. You're a leader. Like, how does that look? And how does that feel to a person who is not only your subordinate, but usually entry level and a minor? Like, be understanding of your position. There was flooding. We had so we filed for our union on December 30th, and then the Marshall fires broke out and our store was closed for a week. When we came back after that week, we had an excess out of nowhere. We had been struggling with staffing for a while, and then suddenly we had an excess of people on the floor to the point where we were like, I don't even know what to do with you as an extra person. And that included corporate people who came as well.
Who are getting in the middle of Barista's Way during peak,
during their busiest hours,
how things were going while they're juggling like 3 drinks on bar. They have a full drive-through, a full lobby. So you had all these people bombarding baristas at like the peak moment.
Why do you love Starbucks? Tell me now. They're like, I'm trying to make drinks, actually. Please be reasonable.
Do you think that was, I'm trying to make this so stressful that they just leave?
I think in part, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to know someone's true intentions because there could be people in corporate who are sympathetic. They're just being told you have a job, or another instance, I'm only here for a short bit of time and this is when I'm here, so I got to talk to y'all now. Or it could just be, I'm just going to stress you out even more and kind of make you intimidated.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, so we try to live Starbucks values, which is ironic because I feel like a lot of Starbucks values aren't lived by people in higher positions than us.
Starbucks values are very moral.
So exactly. So one of them is assume good intent. Like if you come in the morning and the store is kind of a mess, so that means that people closing the night before didn't clean up, don't just assume they were screwing around and wanted to mess with you. Assume good intent. Maybe something happened. Maybe it was really busy, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we want to do. We want to assume good intent, but it's really difficult for me to perceive that people and levels of management to that level wouldn't be aware that they are bothering people trying to focus during their busiest hours with questions that don't have a timestamp. It's not like you can wait another hour and a half when we die down to talk to me. I would think if they genuinely weren't thinking of that, they shouldn't be in that level of management. Clearly they don't understand the process of Starbucks. So it's kind of one of those, like, you kind of look bad in both ways, buddy. So I want to assume good intent. I don't think that they were bad people per se, but I do believe that there is a lack of general knowledge with labor unions across the board in our country, and that was absolutely taken advantage of. Like every single contract that's written up with a union, unless it's like a national union that's been, worked at and fortified, each union contract currently that's going to be written up for our stores are specific to our bylaws. So that means this specific, like, oh, if a manager can't help you on the floor, that can be written into our contract or not. Like, we can include
Right.
things if we think that they're helpful or not. So these things like, I'm not going to be able to help you on the floor, says a manager. It's like, that's actually not true, because we're the ones who decide as the workers what we want to see on our floor. So there was a bunch of things that were happening. There was
Also raises. All of a sudden we were getting raises. Like we
Mhm.
got 2 within a span of like how many months?
a handful of months.
I was actually trying to apply for a raise before we dropped the word union, and all of a sudden I was denied. And then all of a sudden, oh, we see that you wanted a raise. Let's get that implemented for you.
Mhm.
And then everyone across the board ended up getting a raise as well, which is great. But it's great timing.
Yeah, it was interesting too. I haven't talked much about this specific thing because the manager that the conversation happened with is no longer our acting DM. But like a handful of days after I brought to a couple baristas or shift supervisors, including Maria's attention that I wanted to start a union, it was like, I think it was December 10th or something, because I think it was the day after Buffalo had unionized. On like the 13th or the 14th or something of December. So like
the 14th of December.
Yeah. We had a shift meeting with our store manager that our district manager happened to attend. And they were going on parental leave. That is true. And so I kind of feel like it may have just been a conversation that happened to happen coincidentally, but it's hard for us to believe that a district manager who we'd rarely ever seen the entire time we'd been there all summer would suddenly come in a handful of days after it got out to our store manager.
Actually, not even a handful of days. It was the day before that
Yeah.
the union
It was
talk
like, it was a day
started.
or two before that I mentioned wanting to start a union at our store, that our district manager showed up and started talking about the Buffalo Union. And he talked to people individually. And I was the first person that he talked to, which I was like, oh, I wonder why he picked me. Because he's like, I'm going to start with you. And I was like, I wonder why. He actually openly was like, okay, like, let's talk about this. What is it that you would like? Like, clearly this is being started because things need to change. Is it the wage? Is it money? Like, he was very forthright. And I don't necessarily, like, I'm not mad about that, but it was like, wow, this is scary to them. This is intense to them. Like, he cut straight to the chase. But I was diplomatic too. I was like, listen, I'm not going to assume that you're evil and just want to, quash my right to unionize. So I was candid with him. I've been candid and diplomatic the entire time, but ultimately a lot of union busting has been happening, and a lot of evidence towards them not wanting us to start a union has been present in our store ever since.
So that kind of leads me, and I don't expect names or anything, but do y'all think you have a snitch?
Yes.
Yeah, and we
Oh,
we
did I say
know.
that too quickly? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, somebody's got to be saying something
Yes.
for people to come and
Yeah.
No, and I don't like the word snitch, because to me that's more bad intention. It's not that I think this person or these people were snitches. I just think people are very empathetical at our store. So when they see something happening that they know other people don't like, it's almost like they wanted to soften the blow so it's not this huge surprise. So I don't think it was malicious intent at all. I
Mm-mm.
don't think she was trying
That's
to
the sad
sabotage
reality.
anything at all. I think they were just trying to be open. So
Yeah, that's the thing too that makes it complicated. Is it's a lot easier to draw black and white positions when it comes to unionizing, or even really any movement. It's really easy to kind of have this sports team level mentality of like us versus them. It's in a lot of ways as well, it does exist. I mean, we see it across the board. We see it across the country. We have, shift supervisors who were wrongfully fired by their management, and the NLRB of their state or their region rules that, yes, you were unlawfully fired. So sometimes it is really black and white, but there's a lot that isn't as well. And I think a lot of that does feed into the lack of understanding and knowledge that surrounds labor unions, because there's this, I don't actually understand what this is about. It's scary. It seems like it's going to disrupt this whole thing. There's people who don't want that, which is stressful on top of an already stressful situation because our working conditions are so bad. And it's also a fear of authority. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, I don't want to get in trouble for this. I don't want other people to get in trouble for this. Like, I'm going to, a lot of people who we found not even necessarily in opposition of the union, but are scared of it and are just a little like, I don't want to dip my fingers in this. A lot of them are kind of like a yes, ma'am, like, okay, yep, I'll get that done. Don't worry. So it's kind of a sad reality where it's a lack of knowledge and a fear of, going up against those who aren't giving you what you rightfully deserve.
Absolutely. So we saw Mr. Union Man Bernie Sanders last weekend. He's been, doing the thing for decades. He did, that huge Unity Fest in Virginia. What do you think it would be like if like there were more than one Bernie? Like if politicians actually were like, holy fuck, let me meet with union members. Oh my God, this is great. Like, what do you think? I mean, because he seems to be the lone dude for so many times. I mean, that's why I campaigned my ass off for him both times. But what do you think it would be like if it wasn't just him?
You go.
Me go?
Oh, hi, baby.
I definitely think there would be a lot more focus on the union efforts of different companies. Like what Bernie is doing is absolutely astounding. It's amazing. And it's great to see someone who everyone knows about just making the time to go to these like little stores here and there because he actually genuinely cares and he shows that to the rest of the world. So
I think I don't even necessarily need people to be like a doppelganger Bernie, because frankly, having different perspectives, opinions, different experiences, backgrounds, that's what makes for a really powerful, diverse, and progressive, powerful future and infrastructure that can be created, a society that can be influenced that way. Because if everybody thinks the same, it's a very homogenous place. We see even in science, diversity is what continues to spread life and make a stronger, chain of life. We see it in the chemical reactions of it. So the same thing can be replicated, I think, in a social situation and a political situation where people can come from different experiences and backgrounds. But if they have the same mindset of the community, let's focus on the community, let's focus on our environment, let's focus on our biome, not even just scientifically, like, bodily, biologically, but also mentally, emotionally, socially, like how we interact. If those people, these hypothetical people, the multiple people, the doppelgangers of Bernie, if they had that mentality that he has, I think we would see a revolutionary, experience. We'd see a revolutionary change in our world. I think I think it's really, really important to have people who, even if they think differently, as long as they have the right things in mind, our community, the place that we live in, and keeping that not only protected and safe, but like healthy and thriving, we'd see such a change. But it's very clear that capital productivity and gain is the absolute end goal. I mean, we live in a capitalist society, it makes sense. But it's very clear that by these models, what's valued is, profit. It's not people. It just isn't.
Absolutely. So something I definitely, as someone in her 40s, something I notice is a lot of unions are being created by young people, which is so inspiring and it's incredible. And I'm wondering if you think, there could be several reasons. Maybe it's younger people who are like, no, we're setting the bar. We're not fucking around. Like we're setting this shit for future generations. Or maybe it's because people my age and older are just so complacent with, look, we've been dealing with this shit forever. Like, why upset it? This is capitalist. This is, we are the means of production, So what do you guys think why do you think it is so many young people who are really starting this revolution in unionizing?
The status quo isn't working. We're not seeing enough compensation for what we're doing. We're seeing, I'm never going to be able to afford a house. I have a
Retirement.
6-year education in my back pocket that I'm going to be paying on for the rest of my life. I still won't be able to afford a house. I may be able to get an entry-level job. Maybe I'll still have to start at the bottom of the pay. It's going to be, a lot of companies don't really give their employees loyalty anymore. You have to fight for the raises and bonuses you deserve.
Mhm.
It's having to move around to different companies just so you could actually get a leg up. My partner is dealing with that right now.
Mhm.
It's food is getting more expensive. And it's
Our planet's
have
heating
to-
up.
you have to work over 40 hours a week just to even get ahead of the game. And no one has time for that anymore. People want to actually live and not wait until maybe they're 70 years old to a social security that won't exist anymore, just to actually take a breather and have a little bit of extra money to actually do something with your life that's not working and trying to be a part of society.
I think too, one of the reasons why a lot of younger people are in this movement is the connectivity of the internet. Honestly, it's kind of, so we're starting to see so many repetitive patterns in our own society. Things like, it's getting more expensive to live. Wages are stagnant or even going down in some cases. Food prices are going up, gas prices are going up, and yet the information is out there that profits aren't hurting, profits are increasing. We're seeing, the richest of us get richer and richer, and we're able to see and connect that. And we're seeing, there's so many people as well who are, very aware of the kind of these data companies, the data conglomerate of like Google and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Like, we know that our data is being siphoned, and it's siphoned for money. Like, so many people are just trying to make it big, kind of like a social jackpot, so to speak, on TikTok, just so they can afford rent. So many people are recognizing, like, not only are so many, young of us were forced into college to take on this debt, because debt is another form of credit that keeps capital going despite resources becoming more and more depleted. It's like we either die crushed under the rock of capitalism or we do something about it. And I feel like maybe people who are a little bit older, they were able to kind of just miss the wave, that kind of like this inevitable wave that comes onto the younger generation. Yeah. Where a lot of us didn't, we didn't just manage to crest that wave in terms of, how the economy was going once you finally, your age and what have you. And last but not least, I think another big part of it as well is, nuts, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, I remembered it. We've been taught from the beginning, like, we want a better future for our kids. Like, we want the life that we live to be even better for those we leave behind, and especially our kids. And not only is that not what's happening, but a lot of people are trying to say that we're selfish or entitled or lazy or what have you for actually trying to establish those changes. Oh my gosh, it's a cat haven today. But yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest things is like, we do want a better future. Like, I do want people to relax more. I don't want people to have to work as much. We don't need to have that much work. We should be able to enjoy life more. And I want that for not just for myself, but for the people beyond me, because so many wonderful things. You think of the Renaissance, so many amazing things came out of that because they were able to just enjoy life. The work that needed to be done was done, but they didn't fill it with unnecessary work to make more money for who? Not them, not themselves, not their families. And that's what's happening now. So yeah, I think it's all of it. It's the vision of what we should have and don't.
But this American dream isn't working.
Mm-hmm. And that if that change is going to happen, it's going to happen with us. We have no choice. We literally don't have a choice.
The grandparents is the word that we can't turn back around. Mm-hmm. Climate change is almost irreversible at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. So a lot of people, that well, at least in my circle, are talking about union is first step, co-opting second step. How do you guys feel about creating like a Starbucks as a co-op? You guys own it. You guys set the rules. the employers are the ones who run it, like hands down, it is you. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't know. There's so many people that come in and out of the store because sometimes it's just a stepping stone to another job, or it's just something they could do on the side while they're going to school full time. Others is, I want to get an education and I need those education benefits. So I don't know how easy it would be for something like that to be implemented. Not that I would be opposed to it. I feel like you need to have like a platform of people who are dedicated to be there for a while to actually implement those ideals that they want to implement in their store and to see if they're actually successful.
I haven't given it much thought myself, to be honest. I haven't really thought of that next step of it. I definitely, I like the idea of co-ops. I'm not just like the idea. When I lived near a co-op, we frequented it all the time because it supports local business and local farmers and whatnot. And I think that's fantastic. Like I want local business for people because that's, it's a way to support small business, as a way to actually support the idea of the free market and what have you. But it's hard for me to offer an opinion from that because it'd be interesting. I haven't thought about how that could transform Starbucks that way. If any company, and especially a company that prides itself on being progressive the way Starbucks does, if any company could do it, I think it would be Starbucks.
Absolutely. So I want to get into the logistics just for, some people are confused. Yes, we want to unionize, but how do we actually do it? So what was the process like? I don't know if Len, you were like mainly since you like, it was your idea. But is there paperwork? If so, who do you go through? Like, what are the actual, tangible actions you need to do to implement one in the first place?
I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible with it because I'm asked this question a lot and I feel like I don't give an adequate enough answer every time it's asked to me. So I'm going to try to actually do that this time. So ultimately what I did is I just messaged Starbucks Workers United, so SB Workers United, on Twitter about it. They're pretty popular nowadays, so it might not be as quick as it was for me because when I messaged them, it was the night that Buffalo unionized. So they had a decent little chunk of followers, but it's significantly larger now. But what I did is I messaged them and they got me in contact with one of their union representatives, who then got me in contact with a union representative closer to my area because they were, they're based in the Northeast. I always want to say New England. New York is not New England, but I always mistake that because I grew up in Maine. So I always considered New York as like part of it, but it's not. So they're in that area of the country and we're obviously in Colorado. So they connected us with a union member in the Chicago area. Now, if you don't have the means to get in contact with Starbucks Workers United, if it's taking a while, what have you, contact your local unions. Like just Google it, like your city unions, because unions help other unions get established. Because not only is it like the right thing to do to help people. Yeah. So the Denver and Boulder DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, that's another group you can contact. They can help you set that up because there could be some paperwork or you just have virtual stuff. For me, they say like once you basically, like I got the directive from the union workers about what to do. And what I did was I basically floated the idea to as many people I could talk to, which was a lot of people because I'm very talkative. Surprise. So I just talked to as many coworkers as I could. And I talked to people like Maria and a couple other shift supervisors who were also like keen on the idea. So they would talk to people too and kind of get the general, like, how does it feel? Do people want to do this? And we got a pretty solid thumbs up. Once I got that kind of, yes, solid. Yeah. I think a lot of people want to do this. Contacted my union worker, which again, I'm sure you can find a union nearby, or if Starbucks Workers United gets back to you, they can get you in contact with people. They're going to help you through this process. So the union worker that I worked through sent me a link, and it's basically a virtual union card. So you can have physical union cards, which you collect and I think you can mail. Or for us, it was just a virtual link that my union member provided that I passed out or like texted people, sent an email to my coworkers who wanted to do it to fill out. And it's very simple, like first, last name, email. Like there is other questions that you can fill out if you want to, but they're not like required. They're not the little asterisks required. And once enough people had signed and submitted those cards, and the union worker I was working with was keeping tally of which names were from my store. Once enough people had signed those virtual cards or physical cards, it depends on what your circumstances, both are fine. That information was sent off to our NLRB, our local NLRB, which is the National Labor Relations Board. And they basically at that point review on whether or not, yes, you have enough support from your workers, valid submitted petitioned support from your workers to start filing for a union. And once we got the, okay, yeah, you actually have the support, then that's when you officially file. And what I did is I wrote a letter, which kind of was based off of a bunch of letters that Starbucks Workers United had been posting on their page. And then my union worker also got me in contact with it. He was like, here's like an outline. And I basically fleshed it out specific to my store. A lot of letters are similar. Some of them are a little bit different. It really depends. It doesn't have to be like super one way. I sent that letter to the district manager and to the current CEO at the time, which was Kevin Johnson. And then that letter from me was sent, and my union worker I was working through basically, I think like verified with the NLRB, yes, we're filing today, letter was sent. And then from there, it's just waiting for an election date, which for us, we had a long time because we had to go to court. But that's basically the process, though, to get it started for organizing. Once you get in contact with a labor worker who is actually affiliated with this whole movement, you're guided through it pretty much. Yes, you do have to, like, they'll send you stuff to read yourself, so you do have to do some research there, and it's good to be well informed outside of that as well. But that's pretty much the process. Once you get in contact with somebody who knows what they're doing, they'll help you.
And then do you guys have meetings like every week, once a month? How do you proceed from that point?
We have this group chat that we essentially just check up on our people with, or the people that were pro-union. She'll send out updates. I'll send out, hey, we need to pay attention to this. This is coming up.
Yeah.
We tried to get people together for a few meetings, but unfortunately everyone has very different work schedules. Everyone has different things going on outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more Len communicating with the whole group, or her saying, I say this a lot because Len is like, she is the force to be reckoned with for our union.
No, I didn't do it alone.
Take the praise.
No.
She would basically tell the committee members, like, hey, we need to focus on this. This is what we need to talk to our people about. And then we would all do our part and try and communicate that to them.
See, it's a group effort.
Do you have a message for Howard Schultz?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I don't want to have to feel like I should be demeaned because I want something better. We're not asking for anything outlandish. We're not asking for, I don't know, $30 an hour based on no experience whatsoever.
Speak for yourself. Okay.
If you're gonna do it right, okay?
Well, I just mean to say we're not asking for anything that shouldn't be considered something we just need to survive on. It's I don't know. It just really fucking sucks when you feel like you just want to have a better life, and just because you work at Starbucks, that means, well, you're actually not entitled to have a pay that'll also supplement your food or your gasoline or this or that. It's
food work is not even just food service work, but the service industry is so highly disrespected. It's insane.
Yeah.
You think about, like, people so often will come to me and say, like, get a better job, get a job that is actually a job, like all that stuff. And it's like, it just kind of, it shows me immediately kind of how thoughtless and non-reflective those people are, because we created a society that started to make pleasure, entertainment, service, and like all of that part of a job, because guess what? We evolved as a society beyond the necessities for just plumbing and just electricity and just construction work, like, and nursing, all of those jobs that are considered like integral infrastructural jobs. Guess what? We evolved past that. And you want that as a capitalist. You want a job that it continues, like, a society that continues to expand that way. And we did. Now we have jobs that, again, cater to pleasure, entertainment, service, food, like all that stuff. And you're saying, oh, like those aren't real jobs. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We created a society where those jobs are demanded. If those jobs are demanded, they should pay. Like, I'm sorry that you're mad that I work a different job than you, but that's the society that you want. Like,
Absolutely.
it just shows the vast disconnect with understanding of like,
It's so privileged. It is so privileged. And you know what? Anyone who has the audacity to go in and say that shit, don't be complaining when you have to wait an extra 5 minutes because they're short staffed.
Yeah.
Because you just told them all to get a new job and like, oh my God.
Well, I think one of the larger things is, yes, Starbucks has great benefits, but when you can't afford to use the benefits, like Len here got injured, she still had to pay for her medical bills and now she's out of work. So having the compensation for that, or we have a 401k option, but if you don't have any supplemental income to put into the 401k, what does it do?
It matches you up to 12%, which is a really big number.
It's great.
Like, that's a great match. Like, we're not arguing that Starbucks doesn't offer good benefits, but the thing is, I can't match 12%. 12% of my paycheck depletes me. I literally cannot afford rent. I don't even have a car. Like, I don't have a car payment. I'm privileged enough that my car is paid off. And right now, our student loans are suspended. Can you imagine? Like, I do have credit card bills because shocker, I couldn't make ends meet. So beforehand, I had to put things on credit cards. So the point being is these benefits are not bad benefits, but the wage that we have undercuts us so much so that we cannot take full advantage of those benefits. And because Starbucks is always like, we're great with part-time, a lot of those part-timers don't even have benefits. So the reason why they offer these expansive benefits is because it's cheaper than giving people raises across the board. Because not everybody's going to take advantage of benefits, but everybody's going to take advantage of, it's not even taking advantage of, everybody's going to benefit from a pay raise, but not everybody's going to benefit from expansive benefits because not everybody uses them. So my message, I guess, to Howard Schultz is, we're not trying to be your enemy. We're trying to live Starbucks values and protect our work. And there's nothing wrong, outlandish, crazy, or disingenuous of us to want to aim for legally protected work that is demanded of us in our society. And if Starbucks is the progressive company that it touts itself to be, they not only would stop fighting against us, they would be behind us.
Absolutely. My message to Howard Schultz, and this is me, this has nothing to do with my guest, this is me, is eat a bag of dicks, and you should be happy that you have employees like this working their asses off for you. That's my message.
I was not prepared for that.
I'll just say it for everyone who can't.
Definitely agree with the latter part of that statement. I'll sustain any opinion on the first part.
So one thing I want to leave you guys with is I want any last words, like any lasting words you want to leave, what you want people to take away from this, and then also, where people can find you. If you have social media or an email or a specific Twitter for, Colorado or anything like that. So yes, a message you want people to take away, and also anywhere you'd like to promote people can find you.
So I actually don't have any social media presence.
You're so
which
smart.
Is very different for someone my age.
Well, Marie was in the Air Force, so a lot of it just the establishment part of social media, like that part of your age you were in the Air Force.
Yeah.
You're busy. Now it's not part of your day-to-day now.
No, and I think I'm better for it.
Yeah. No, it's very endearing.
I get TikToks all the time. You should know this. I'm like, nope, never seen that.
I've never seen it. Honestly, good for you.
Yeah. I think the biggest message I have to say is know your value and know that there's nothing wrong with wanting something better for yourself.
Yep. I, on the other hand, am everywhere. It's sad. I know. Probably my most active platform though is Twitter. So my handle is @LennyLemons with a Z.
Didn't make that easy.
No, I didn't. Lenny Lemons. And that's just the place I'm the most active. You can type in Len Harris probably into the search bar and find me. But in terms of a message, I can't agree with Maria more, honestly, that like fighting for your worth is not something inherently selfish. It's not outlandish. It's not crazy. And people are banking on us not understanding our worth, because the less that we understand and know, the easier it is to direct us where we're wanted.
Exploitation.
And right now, money and data are the most powerful things in this country, and only a few people have the, massive swath of that. So the best thing that we can do to protect our future and ensure that we aren't going to be taken advantage of is to fight for our rights and fight for what we're worth, and, entomb it in our laws. We see it everywhere that countries that have written laws that protect people are significantly more free than people think that they are. Here people seem to think if there are no laws, we're freer, and that's not the case. We're much more susceptible to like loan predation, debt predation, et cetera, et cetera.
It's the lack of those laws that are actually crippling a lot.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, so your worth is worth it. It's worth the fight. And
being selfish isn't a bad thing.
And the more you live your values, the more in harmony and happy you'll be. And isn't that what we're trying to do? Is be the happiest we can be?
No.
No, it's to be rich. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I can't even tell you, you guys inspire me so much. You're both just complete badasses who took a risk, and you're just incredible. And I know my viewers are going to absolutely love you. So I think like to take away from this, like, honestly, like, we deserve to live, not just exist, and we deserve to thrive. And when you are dealing with customers, your being rubs off on those customers. So if you want customers to have a pleasurable experience, you make your employees happy. And that is how it exacerbates the mood that's how it brings people back. Not only is making, people, your employees happy, the good thing, it's also monetarily beneficial if that's all you care about.
Yeah, it is.
From that point.
Yeah,
but again, thank you guys so much. I cannot thank you enough for joining me, and you both are incredible. If anything else should come up or you need help promoting anything or what have you, my DMs are open. I cannot thank you enough, and please thank everyone from your store as well.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Honestly, having us be able to spread the word to more people is what makes the difference. Honestly, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And also, we're not trying to sabotage the company if we're literally buying from them still and drinking from them. I've thought of that.
They have some of the best syrups.
They do have. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point. Like, the people we're talking to do not hate their job. They do not hate their company. They are so passionate that they have been sticking around regardless of things that could have been better. So I think that's very important. People need to realize it is the passion for that company that has them fighting.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time.
Much love. Take care, you guys.
Yeah, that is.